Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope all of you are doing well. So guys, in today's video, we'll understand how we can create a webhook in between Jenkins and GitHub. So let's start our today's video. So in today's videos, we'll discuss about what actually webhook is. So there is a brief introduction about webhook. Then we'll understand what is continuous integration, and along with continuous integration we'll also understand what is continuous delivery and what is continuous deployment. So this webhook play a very important role in order to achieve all these concepts automatically, and then we'll see how we can create a webhook in GitHub. So all the steps we'll see in detail, and once that is done, then we'll see what all configurations we need to enable in Jenkins so that a connection between these two using webhooks can be created. So guys, firstly, let's understand what is this webhook. So webhook, if we'll go as a definition point of view, then webhook is basically a method of communication that allows users to subscribe to events happening in a software system. And next questions comes that how a webhook actually work. So webhook can be triggered whenever a specific events occur on GitHub. And what is the benefit of webhook? With the help of webhook, we can automate workflows using triggers that we can set up in webhook configuration that we'll do in GitHub. And whenever this particular event will happen, automatically trigger will start its functionality. So as definition point of view, these are basically the definition, but a real scenario, we can consider this webhook is just like if we are doing something and if we want to do something post that action, then webhook will help us in order to automate this process. So let's understand this with my previous example. So those who are new and those who are lending directly to this video, so they might have some difficulty to understand in our previous example. But in our previous example, what we were doing, we were just creating a pipeline, and in that pipeline, what we were doing, once that pipeline is getting created, then we click on build now button. So there was a manual step involved in between them. So right now when we use this webhook concept, so that manual step will completely removed due to this webhook, and it will be a complete automatic continuous integration and continuous delivery, or you can say continuous deployment process. So let's understand what's this concept of continuous integration and what is this continuous delivery or deployment. So two things we listen a lot in lot of the videos and in lot of concept, that CI/CD. So what this CI/CD basically is? So CI is referring to continuous integration, and CD refers to maybe either continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So today we'll see an example and we'll clarify these definitions with the help of example, so that we'll be completely aware about these two concepts. So let's firstly understand after webhook that what is continuous integration basically is. So continuous integration is a DevOps software development practice where developer regularly merge their code changes in a central repository, after which automatic builds and tests are run. So till now, when we were using those CI/CD pipelines, then we were manually clicking on build now button. So after that, continuous integration was taking place. So continuous integration was taking place in previous examples also, and it will take place in today example also. But today we will do an automatic continuous integration, and previously continuous integration was there, but we were just clicking on build now button, and we were actually responsible to make that happen. But now they will happen automatically whenever there will be any action that will be performed on the code. So that we'll see in the help of example. And why continuous integration is required? In the past, developers on a team might work in isolation for an extended period of time and only merge their code to the master branch once their work was completed, and this merge code changes difficult, and it was also time consuming, and also resulted in bugs accumulated for a long time without correction. So what we understood with these lines is that previous to this continuous integration concept, so let me clear one thing, that Jenkins is our continuous integration server. So we are talking about the things when we don't have Jenkins. So before that, developers do their coding, and once the complete code get ready, then they merge that code to a particular branch, and after that a build was getting performed. So one developer suppose completed his or her work in a 1 or 2 days, and rest code was taking around a month or more. So all of them was consuming actually time, because some were getting their work done in short span of time, but others were taking time. So this software build process was taking time, because once the complete code was ready, then only the code testing was getting performed. But using this continuous integration process, whenever any developer is ready with his or her code, they can just commit their code, and with the help of webhook we can continuously test those particular code. So this is the beauty of continuous integration server Jenkins that we use, and with the help of webhooks we do it automatically. And how this continuous integration basically works: so with continuous integration, developers frequently commit to a shared repository using a version control system such as Git. A continuous integration server automatically builds and runs unit test cases on new code changes to immediately surface any errors. So now the process is automate in the sense that some developer creates some code, and he or she just commit the code and push the code to repository. And when we'll create webhook, automatically that code will get taken by Jenkins, and Jenkins will perform a compilation and then build, and it will perform test cases on that particular build. If everything is successful, then we are good. If not, then the coder will get notified with the help of email that there is some problem in the code. So now the feedback is also continuous, because the developer immediately knows that okay, there is some problem in the code, so let me fix this code. And developer will fix that code, and again he or she will commit the code and then push the code to repository. Immediately Jenkins will pull it, and then it will perform a build and then test on those code. And if everything is fine, then a developer will not get that failure message. So in this way, now the process is very fast. Even the developer is getting feedback very fast, because developer don't have to wait for complete code to get created, and then there will be a build get performed. And if at that time the developer get feedback, so it is very difficult to identify that where it was error. But right now developer is aware that okay, this particular lines of code I have written, and these lines were creating problem. Okay, so I have to only troubleshoot this particular piece of code. And in the previous approach, developer needs to check the whole code from starting to end. So everything was time consuming before this continuous integration process. So we can understand this continuous integration concept with the help of this diagram, which we'll see in a real life scenario whenever you work in any company or any live project or something. So in this way, there are multiple developers who work on their code, and they just commit their code to a particular GitHub repository. So dynamically, they are just putting their code at the same time, and all the code is getting fixed in this GitHub repository. Okay, so in real life example, we'll see this kind of scenario. But in our example, as I'll create this particular pipeline, so we can go with this kind of approach, because here I'll just commit the code to the GitHub repository. Then we'll create a particular webhook, and due to the webhook, automatically Jenkins will pick up the code and will build a trigger. And if there is any kind of failure, then this particular developer will get notified. So in our today's example, I haven't configured any mail server as of now, so that mailing process is not yet implemented as of now, but that can also be implemented in order to get the continuous feedback to this particular developer. So as our code is working fine, so we'll not get that build failed related message to the code. So we can continue with this approach. So we'll see how webhook works in this way. So this is the particular approach that we are going to use in our today's example. Okay, so now let's understand that what is this continuous delivery and what is this continuous deployment and how they are different. So what is continuous delivery? So continuous delivery is also in DevOps software development practice that focuses on automating and streamlining the process of delivering tested software which is ready to deploy, or what you can say, it is ready as it is in deployable state. So as per definition, how we can understand it: suppose if the developer has committed the code and code is now there in GitHub, and then Jenkins perform a build and then perform test. If everything is successful, then next stage will invoke, and in that stage will package that particular code in the form of var. So that var you can consider as an artifact. So artifact I'll cover in my next some videos where I'll discuss about Nexus. So as of now, you can consider this var is basically the deliverable that you are going to deliver to client, or that you are going to deliver to some testing team. So once test cases got passed to the code, we are now ready with the code in the form of var. So that var is not yet deployed to any server or somewhere else. Rather, we are having that particular var with us, and this var is actually a kind of executable that can directly be deployed to server, and then we can see what all changes we do with the help of code. Are they reflecting in this particular var or not? So this process is called continuous delivery, where we are now ready with the code but not yet deployed that code to any server. And what is continuous deployment? So till here we have just created our var, which is basically an artifact, and once that artifact is available with us, and if we automate the process of deployment, means we are taking this var and if we are deploying this var to Tomcat server, then this process is called continuous deployment. So in case of production or in case of higher environment, usually we don't implement this kind of continuous deployment related things, but in case of dev and test, we can use this approach so that we can automate process of deployment also along with continuous integration. So now we understood the concept of what is continuous integration, what is continuous delivery, and what is continuous deployment. So we'll understand these three things with the help of phases also. So we'll understand this with the help of diagram also. Okay, so now let's understand first what this continuous integration is. So in continuous integration, firstly developer will create the code, and then developer will send the code to GitHub with the help of commit and then push code, and then Jenkins will pull this particular code from GitHub, and post that Jenkins will perform the build and test cases that are written in those particular pom.xml in case of Java code, and if those codes are correct, then we'll get a successful test build, and if they are not, then we'll not get that successful test build. Okay, so this is basically the continuous integration where developer will create the code, commit the code, push the code to GitHub, and then Jenkins will pull it with the help of webhook, and it will perform build and test. So these phases is covered under continuous integration. So now let us understand what is continuous integration along with delivery. So these phases will remain same till test phase, but in case of delivery there will be one more phase where we'll create package of that tested code. So this complete phase is now continuous integration along with continuous delivery, where we'll create a war file of tested code. Then what is continuous deployment then? So continuous integration along with continuous deployment, what we'll do, all the phases will remain same, and once the package is getting created in the form of var, then we'll deploy that package using Jenkins to the particular Tomcat server. So in this way, we have automated the complete process when developers check in their code to GitHub, and after that build will get performed and then testing will get done. If test cases are successful on that build, then in the next step packaging will get performed, and once packaging is successful, post completion of that, that code will deploy to your Tomcat server. So with the help of diagram we can easily understand these concept, because definition sometimes is not actually understandable. So it is better to understand with the help of example that what we do in this continuous integration phase, what we'll do continuous delivery phase, and what we'll do in continuous deployment phase. So till now the examples that we were doing in our previous videos, so these process were manual, because we just create the code, we just commit the code to GitHub, and when we log into Jenkins we just create the pipeline, and post creation of pipeline we clicked on build now button. So in that case all the code that is there on GitHub will comes to Jenkins machine, and then Jenkins perform action. So there was a manual intervention, like we need to just click on build now button, but now we'll automate this particular clicking of button also with the help of webhook. So this is the beauty of webhook, that everything will get automate from continuous integration till continuous deployment. So now let's see how we can create a particular webhook in GitHub. So we need to log into GitHub and we need to go to particular repository, whatever you have created. Then we need to go to settings. Once we'll click on settings, then we need to click on webhook on the left hand side as highlighted. Once we click on webhook, then this kind of field will come in front of us. We need to click on add webhook button, and then we need to provide these many details in these sections. So firstly, we need to provide payload URL. This is basically the Jenkins URL where our Jenkins is running, and then after placing slash we can write github-webhook slash. So this particular piece we need to write in order to create webhook. And then in the content type we can select application/JSON, and in case of secret we need to provide secret. So this I'll tell you how we can generate this secret from Jenkins. Then we'll place that secret from Jenkins here, and then we need to click on just the push event. So whenever developer will push the code to repository, automatically this webhook will get triggered, and this option we need to keep tick as active, and then we can click on add webhook button. Okay, so these were the settings that we need to do in our GitHub portal. Now let's see how we can create that particular secret which we are seeing in GitHub section. So we need to click on this admin, means the user that we have created, and once we click on it, then the next we need to click on configure, as we can see highlighted here. Once we'll click on this configure button, then this field will comes in front of us. So here we have API token. We need to click on add new token, and then we need to write anything. We can write test, testing, anything you can write here. And once you'll click on generate, then a token will get generate. Okay, so here you can see that this is particular token that is generated. This token will copy and then we'll paste in GitHub secret, so that our webhook steps completed with the help of this particular secret. Okay, so next we need to click on the save button once that token has been generated. So now our task is done in order to create token, and now we'll place that token in GitHub and create on and click on that create webhook. Once we'll click on that, we'll see this kind of webhook created with this green tick. If this green tick is there, it means that we are good and connection has been made between Jenkins and this particular GitHub using webhook. Okay, next we need to create a job in Jenkins. So we'll click on this new item, and then we'll give the project name here, and then we'll select pipeline as project. We'll click on OK, and then in the configuration section we need to click on GitHub project checkbox here. Then we need to scroll down. We need to check on GitHub hook trigger for get SCM polling, and then we'll do the code check-in piece using our git bash terminal. So those who are new to git bash and GitHub, I have created a separate video where I have cleared how we can create a free account on GitHub, and how we can install git bash on our machine, and how to make connection in between them. So just refer to that video, and we'll continue today with this git bash terminal, and we'll commit and then push our code to our GitHub repository. Okay guys, so this was our theory session. Now let's do this practically so that we can understand the concept of webhook and continuous integration, continuous delivery, and then continuous deployment. Okay guys, so this is our GitHub portal and this is our repository. So as we were discussing in our slides, we need to create a webhook. So we need to go to settings, and then we can go to webhook. We can click on add webhook. Now we need to give our Jenkins URL. So we'll paste it here, and then we need to write github hyphen webhook and then slash. Okay, then we need to select application JSON. Secret will generate from Jenkins. So here we'll go to admin, then we can go to configure, and here we can click on add new token. We can give any name here. Anything you can write here. We can copy this particular API token and we can paste it on any notepad. Okay, and we need to click on save. Now we'll go to webhook section, and then we'll copy this token and we'll paste it here. Okay, and this is selected by default, this is selected by default. We'll click on add webhook. So now you can see, okay, that hook was successfully created. We sent a ping payload to test it out. Read more about this. So this webhook is successfully created, and you can see that we are seeing this green tick. So it means we are good with the connection. Now we'll create our job in Jenkins. So we'll go to new item. We'll give the project name as test or anything you can give. We can select pipeline as project, and then we'll click on OK. And here we need to select GitHub project. We need to give the repository URL. So we'll go here and then we'll copy this URL and then we'll paste it here. Okay. Second option we need to enable is GitHub hook trigger for get SCM polling. And now we'll place our code. So to understand continuous integration, I'll place this code, the same code that we were using in our previous videos. So till testing, we can place it as of now. Okay, we can do a save. Okay, so till now what we were doing, we were clicking on this build now button. So I'm clicking on this build now button once more so that I can see whether my pipeline is correctly coded or not. So yes, it is correctly coded and this is getting executing. So what this pipeline is basically doing, so those who are new, those who are not aware what I'm doing, so this is basically a pipeline where we are installing Maven and we have code present on our repository, that is this particular address book code, and then we are compiling this particular code and then we are testing this particular code. So here you can see compilation or building, you can say, of code is successful, and then testing of this particular code is also successful. So we can go to console output and here we can see, so here you can see build is success. So this is basically the compilation section that was successful, and then test cases got performed. So 23 test cases get performed on this code and there were no errors skipped and failure was 0. So this is also successful. So build is successful along with test cases. So this was the thing that we were doing till now, but now we'll use the webhook concept in order to see whether webhook is working or not. So now we'll not click on this build now button. The build should get triggered whenever we'll push code to this particular repository. Okay, so let's go to git bash, and this is our git bash. Okay, so we are having this file, so let's create one file here. Okay, and then we can add this file. We can check with git status. So those who are new to git also, they don't know the command, so just use these 3-4 commands and we'll be done with our example. So we have just created a file with the help of touch, and now if we do git status command, so it is saying that this file is untracked. So in order to make it tracked, we need to use git add dot command. And if we'll again fire git status command, so you will see that it is saying changes are ready to commit. So we'll commit these changes using git commit command, and -m here we can give some comment. So we can give like test4 file added. Okay, so this code is committed, and if we'll again fire this command git status, so it will say that our branch is ahead of main origin. We need to use the git push command. So we'll use git push here. So now our code is pushed. We can see that whether the code is pushed or not. So we can see test4 file is here now. Let's see our Jenkins. So you can see that automatically this second build is get triggered. I haven't done anything. Automatically it took that particular one commit and build automatically getting test-based. I haven't clicked on this build now button. So this is a complete example of your automatic continuous integration, where we have removed this manual intervention process. Okay, and how you will see the difference that this was clicked manually and this automatically took place. So if we'll click on previous build, if we'll go to console output, so here you are seeing like started by user admin. But if we'll go for the second build and if we'll go to console output, here you are seeing started by GitHub push by this particular repository. So in this way, this webhook has been successfully created, and we have seen that how continuous integration takes place. Once the developer just commit the code and push the code to repository, automatically this build got triggered because we have enabled webhook section here. So this is complete example of your continuous integration. So now let's make it continuous delivery, because still here our application is successfully built and tested. Now we need to make in the form of package or artifact, whatever you can say, which you can share with any testing team so that they can deploy it and can check the functionalities using that particular package. So now we'll go to configure section. Okay, and here we'll do some modification in our code, that will add one stage from the code. That stage is for packaging. So we'll copy this stage and we'll place after testing of the application. Okay, so this complete code I have explained in my previous videos. So those who are not aware about this, what is this particular code, so they can check my those videos so that they'll be aware about it. Okay, so I have just embedded that packaging section also here, and if I'll save, okay, and I'll create one more file there. So similarly I'll do creation of one more file. Suppose I have created test5, then I need to track this file. This is tracked now. Now I need to commit this file. So I'm committing this file now. It is committed. Let me push this file. Okay, so push is done. Now let's see whether build is getting triggered or not. Yes, you can see build 3 is triggered automatically because we have configured webhook here. Okay, so now continuous integration is still happening because these 4 stages related to that, and you are seeing that one commit it is showing. So the commit that I did, it is taking from there, and now our packaging is also getting happened. So let's see whether, okay, so now packaging is also done. We can go to log section or console output, you can say, and then we can see whether package has been generated or not. So here we can see that war has been built and it is available on the target directory. Okay, so we can go to this directory and can see whether that has been generated or not. Okay, so I need to log into this particular box, so give me the IP of this box. Okay, okay, so we are in this box now. Let's copy this that path, copy. Okay, so here you can see that address book.war has been generated. So as of now, we are doing it locally, so this file is available here. But in my next video, I'll introduce Nexus also, which is basically having artifacts on it. So this is, we can consider as an artifact. So we'll share this on our Nexus repository, so that anybody who is access to that Nexus repository can download this particular package from there and can install on their server, whether in testing team or any client that is going to take some kind of unit acceptance testing or something. So they can have this particular package and then they can deploy it by themselves and can test the functionalities using its functionality which is placed in this code. So this is now the example you can see as a continuous integration along with continuous delivery. So developer is just checking out its code and pushing its codes to the repository. Once that code is produced and when this code got pushed to repository, then it is automatically takes place with the help of Jenkins, with the help of webhooks that we have created, and it is continuously delivering the package to the end user, what you can say maybe a testing team or someone else. But this is continuous integration and continuous delivery, which we usually see practically in higher environments, because in higher environments we don't do deployment, we also don't automate deployments directly. But in development environments we are open to make it automate the deployment piece also. So now I'll automate the deployment piece also. So let me append the code with deployment instructions also. So we'll go to configure. Okay, and here in our pipeline I'll add code related to Tomcat installation along with deployment. So installation is actually not the part of continuous deployment, because Tomcat can be installed somewhere else, but we need to deploy this war to Tomcat. So that step is actually the continuous deployment. But in our demo, I'm installing Tomcat also along with the application deployment. So that's okay. Copy. So this is basically Tomcat prerequisite. Firstly, prerequisite will get installed, and then it will install our Tomcat server, and then it will deploy our application to Tomcat server. So I'll place code. We'll leave two braces in the end, and we'll paste our code here. Okay, so this is the strategy to make everything correct. So now there is prerequisite Tomcat installation along with installation of Tomcat server, and then we'll deploy this war to Tomcat, and then we'll see whether we are able to access that particular war file or not. Okay, so I'm saving this code, and there is one thing I need to do to make Jenkins so that it should not ask password. So let me make that setting, which I also did in my previous video. So let me do it so that our pipeline should not get fail. So we need to add Jenkins user in sudoers file. Okay, okay, so now here we can add our Jenkins user. Jenkins all braces all. Okay, it's all equals to all, no, pass wd colon all. Okay, so this is basically the setting so that when Jenkins will try to install it, then password will not get asked. Otherwise, it will ask for password and our pipeline will get fail. So this is Jenkins all equals to all, no passwd colon all. We'll save this. Okay, and now let's go to git bash. We have saved it, right? Okay, so now go to git bash and create one more file. So this time we'll create file 6. Now we need to track this file first. Then we need to commit this file. Okay, and now we need to push this file to our repository. Okay, so now code has been pushed. Let's see. As you can see now, fourth build has automatically triggered now. We haven't done anything. We haven't clicked on this build now button, and this build is getting happened automatically. So let's see that continuous integration is in progress till test phase. So now build is successful and then test is also successful. Now it is doing continuous delivery by creating packaging of the application. Okay, so package is also created. Let's see whether our setting works or not, the settings that we did. So one commit you can see, the commit that I did, it is taking place, so it is continuous integration. And now Tomcat prerequisite is getting installed. It is done, so our setting works. Now it is installing Apache Tomcat server. So in the meanwhile, it is installing. Okay, let it be installed. Okay, so Tomcat has been installed. Now it is deploying the sample application. Okay, so this is now the complete example of continuous integration along with continuous deployment, because we have created our package, along with that we have deployed that to the server. So this strategy we mainly use in case of development or lower environments, but in higher environments we keep that manual process of approval or something, because we are not ready to play with production or something, so we don't do deployment directly along with these steps. But yes, continuous integration and continuous deployment in automatic fashion we can do in lower environments. In dev we are open to do it. So we have seen this complete continuous integration along with continuous deployment. So let's now access our application. I need to open a port because I have changed this particular Tomcat port to 8081, so I need to open it from here so that we can access it, because Jenkins and Tomcat both run on 8080 port. So in my code, I have changed Tomcat port to 8081. Otherwise, there will be a port conflict occur. So in order to avoid that port conflict, we need to change its port to 8081. Okay. So URL is same. We just need to change the port to 81. So you can see that Tomcat has been installed. And now if we'll go to manager app, it is asking for credential. We can provide credentials here that we have set it in our tomcat-users file. So I have explained this code in my previous video. So those who are new and who are not able to understand this code, so everything is present in those videos. So just refers to those videos and you will understand how this code is created and what I'm doing in to make this code working. So now I'm inside Tomcat, and this is our application. So if I click on this application, so this is basically an address book application. We can enter address entry in this application. So click on new contact, give any name like test user, any phone number, there is no checking. Okay, any email, anything you can give, there is no checking as of now on this code. And this was a very good example, so I picked it up from the internet and I placed on my repository so that I can show you the test cases, because those were not there in that code. So took some previous releases of that code, and if we'll click on save, so you can see now entries here, test user admin at the test. So this was a basic sample application that I took it, but from this example we are now pretty sure what is continuous integration, what is continuous delivery, and what is continuous deployment, and this we achieve in automatic fashion using webhooks. So guys, I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, just subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video.